It's been almost a month since I started this channel. The number of people who are watching is increasing, so it is very encouraging. A lot of big media reports on China's good side, so here I will tell you the information that the big media never reports. Major media may or may not be able to broadcast for the convenience of sponsors, but YouTube is an individual, so you can broadcast freely. This time, I will explain the relationship between Japan's self-defense forces helicopter crash and China, which is being analyzed after the black box has been raised. There was an announcement that the crash of the self-defense forces aircraft this time is estimated to be an accident. This is an expression that is not used very often, but it means that we are responding to the situation as if it was an accident. However, there are suspicions that China is involved. It's up to you whether you believe it or not, because there is also an urban legend part. If the Chinese Communist Party intentionally shoots down or attacks in some way, it will develop into a war. Therefore, I will introduce how this incident is reported in the Chinese-speaking world. In one article, the Japanese media reportedly linked it to Shandong, China. Shandong is a Chinese aircraft carrier. China's aircraft carrier is deployed to the east of Taiwan, and it is said that this may be related to the helicopter crash incident of the self-defense forces. Moreover, the Chinese media says that the Japanese media has announced it. This content differs from the tone of much of the Japanese media. In other words, the Chinese media reports that they are broadcasting what the Japanese media is not broadcasting. Other articles say the crash was probably pilot error. This opinion is representative in China. In other words, China and the crash of the self-defense forces aircraft have nothing to do with each other. Since China has always had a strong tendency to report falsehoods, it can be assumed that they are strengthening their claims that they have no ties to China because they do not want to be suspected of having ties to China. The reason why it is suspected of being related to China is not only because a Chinese aircraft carrier was deployed nearby. Considering only the distance, there was a considerable distance between the aircraft carrier and the helicopter. Since the U.S. fleet was also deployed near the waters where China was deployed, the U.S. military should be able to detect any movement. Like the United States and the self-defense forces, we are very cautious of the movements of China's military. At least I don't think it has anything to do with aircraft carriers, but I have information that makes me think that the Chinese military is involved. In China, the Chinese Communist Party has a program that specializes in reporting military information. There was a video of a railgun in that program. In the video, it was possible to punch out an 8mm steel plate at a distance of 100 kilometers. This weapon is called a railgun in Japan. It has several features that distinguish it from conventional weapons. One is that the bullets fired are very fast. Another thing is that even if the bullet of the railgun is small, it has a large destructive power. The reason why it has a large destructive power even though it is small is that the faster it flies, the more energy it has when it lands. It is no longer necessary to pack gunpowder in the part of the ball that is thrown by the railgun. Research on railguns is also underway in Japan, so I think some of you have seen videos on YouTube. Most of them are of a large size that I think is a big factory. In fact, it is said that China has succeeded in developing a compact railgun. Compared to a giant railgun, the bullet is smaller, so I think it uses less energy, but you can fly it without using ammunition. China has been focusing on the development of railguns for a long time, and weapons have announced the development results many times. Since the miniaturization of railguns is also being promoted, I wonder if there is a connection if a self-defense forces aircraft crashes immediately after it was reported that the Chinese military had developed a powerful railgun. Putting this hypothesis into practice would be the start of a war. Given the current world situation, I think it is highly unlikely that the central government of the Communist Party will make a decision. However, it is also possible that part of the military went out of control regardless of the government's intentions. The truth can be found by examining the crashed helicopter. Of course, there is also the possibility of pilot error, and there is also the possibility of poor maintenance, so let's wait for information. That's all for now. See you next time.